Hiya, welcome to my channel and welcome to what is going to be my final video this year. Today I have a little 2022 bullet journal set up to share with you, and while you watch me work on that, I would like to share my goals with you for the new year so that you can hold me accountable when I inevitably attempt to give up in January. But before setting any goals, I start by choosing a word of the year to keep in mind while I plan for 2022. I didn't really need to think about what the word was gonna be very much. I've had a bit of a strange year, as most people probably also have. I've been scrambling from burnout to burnout and not properly giving myself time to recover, and then getting ill because I'm not resting enough and not being healthy enough, and then eventually burning out yet again. If you remember my plan with me video from last year, you might have noticed that one of my goals for 2021 was actually to be extra careful and not burn out. I set this goal going into a full-time job after a long period of unemployment, and clearly this is one of the many goals that I failed at in 2021, and I'm trying to be extra mindful of that and set more realistic expectations for myself in 2022. So with that in mind, the word that I chose for my 2022 word of the year is balance. And because apparently I can't help myself from overcomplicating everything, I decided to do some Japanese calligraphy of this word on my bullet journal cover page. There are a couple of ways to translate balance into Japanese, but the one that I chose, primarily because I liked the look of the kanji, is Kyoshin, which is more commonly translated as center, but can also be used to mean focus, pivot, emphasis, and of course balance. The first kanji means middle or center, and the second kanji means heart, mind, or spirit, and I just thought that it would be a beautiful addition to my bullet journal cover spread this year. So now that we have that intention in mind for the rest of the year, I want to chat with you a little bit about my goals for 2022. Despite my best intentions, I may have gone slightly overboard setting these, but I do think they're still at least vaguely feasible. So I divided everything up into 4 categories, starting with writing. My main focus in terms of writing this year is obviously going to be Project Side, because that is really my only project. Are we really surprised at this point? So my first goal is going to be to finish draft 3 of the first book in the series. This was also my goal for 2021, but with only 1 week left till the end of the year and 20% to go, I don't think this is feasible anymore. I am, however, hoping to finish this draft by the end of February. After this, I want to take 1 month off to let the book rest before picking it up again, but I would still like to work on draft 4 this year, which I'm hopefully going to keep fairly low-key. Primarily, I just want to do some continuity changes and a couple of things that I've already made a list of while drafting, but I don't want to do any major plot changes or rewrites until I get some more feedback on it, which leads me to my next goal. I would really like to get some friends to look at my novel this year. The only person that has read more than 1 chapter of my writing is my boyfriend, so getting someone else to look at it is terrifying, but also really exciting. I'm not necessarily holding out for feedback this year because I don't know how long draft 4 will take to finish, and I don't know how long it'll take people to give me that feedback. So the goal is just to send the draft to people, so even if I just send section 1 to 1 friend on the 31st of December, that counts, that's enough. And then finally, I'd also like to spend some time planning out the rest of the series, because I have no idea where I'm going with this. The first draft of Project Side was discovery written, and although I'm working from an outline for my current rewrite, the fact that I don't really know how the series ends is a little bit nerve-wracking, so I'd like to throw together some ideas for the main plot points of future books, as well as come up with a loose idea for the series ending. Next up, I have my art category. The first few goals, I think if you've been watching my previous art vlogs, you're probably not gonna be very surprised by, since I've dedicated a lot of time this year to studying anatomy, figure drawing, and portrait art, and this is all part of a convoluted plan to get me to do character designs next year, and eventually design the characters in Project Side. I have a bit of a problem with thinking I'm not good enough to take on certain projects yet and completely overcomplicating everything, and yes, designing my POV characters was technically part of last year's goals as well, but we're doing it this year. Feel free to shout at me if I spend the entire year taking on various character design courses instead of actually drawing anything, okay? On top of this, I also set a lower priority goal of doing 10 environment paintings because I'd really like to get better at drawing backgrounds, and a stretch goal, which I'll only get to if I manage everything else first, of starting to study book cover design. I really wanted to put this last one on the proper list, but I could feel myself getting overwhelmed just from writing all of this out already, so I'm keeping it as a stretch goal because of balance. The next category is YouTube, and I purposely decided to put this one after writing and art because I felt like this year I've been putting it ahead of my writing and art when it comes to how much time I actually spent on it and how much I prioritize it. And I do see YouTube as a type of art, and I love making videos, and editing is something that I really enjoy, and it makes me really happy to create things I'm proud of. However, I feel like I've been spending too much time on it, to the point where all my other hobbies have been suffering. And I started to enjoy it less because of that, since I felt like I had to rush through it to get to all my other projects. And I was always behind on my upload schedule, and it just wasn't good. So instead of continuing with my current upload schedule of making a video every second Wednesday and being really strict on that, my first YouTube goal is going to be to make 20 videos this year in total. And I've also decided that I'm actually going to take a break from YouTube in January and February, during which I want to focus on actually finishing draft 3 of Project Site, because let's be honest, I'm never going to finish it if I don't take a break from YouTube realistically. This year I've spent a lot of time attempting to balance YouTube, writing and art, and I think what I figured out is that doing all 3 of them every week is basically impossible for me. I always end up burning out and falling behind and then beating myself up for it. So what I want to try this year instead is to juggle 2 out of 3 things at a time and to alternate which ones are the priority. So for example, in January and February, I'd like my main priority to be writing with art as a side project and no YouTube whatsoever. Other than watching things, of course, I'm talking about making YouTube videos here. Then in March, I'd like YouTube to be my main priority with art being the side project and no writing. And then April to July, I'd like to have writing be my priority with YouTube as a side project, and so on for the rest of the year. I'm hoping that this is going to work better for me than attempting to do everything at once all the time, but we'll see how it goes. But yes, this means that this current video will be my last one until March, and if everything goes to plan, I will be making my comeback with a finishing my novel vlog, so be on the lookout for that. On top of these 20 videos, which by the way work out to about 2 videos a month for the 10 months that I will be making videos for, I also set a goal of experimenting with new types of videos, such as potentially doing some booktube content, getting more efficient and fast at editing, and learning how to edit my audio better, because I really think the audio quality in my videos could do with some improvement, and I might even look into getting a microphone, we'll see. And then the final category is where I lumped in all of the miscellaneous stuff together, which I'm not going to go through in massive detail because it's primarily me pretending to be a real adult and getting a driving license and an investment ISA, as well as your fairly standard health goals, nothing all that interesting here. Looking at this list, I'm very glad that I set balance as my word for the year, and I dread to think how many pages of goals I would have filled in if I hadn't. But I do think it's reasonably realistic. I should hopefully be able to hit at least 30 to 70% of this list without too many issues, and then the rest can be like pushing myself a little bit harder. And I'm really excited for all of these projects. I can't wait to start working on everything on this list. So on top of setting up my yearly goals page, I also set up a quarterly goal spread, which I kept fairly simple because I tend to forget to use this one anyway. It's honestly quite funny, most of my bullet journals have the first quarter and the last quarter filled in, and I just forget that it exists during quarters 2 and 3. And then I also set up a very simple year at a glance page, which I do remember to use occasionally, and I do know that I need loads of space for this one, so I kept it to very minimal decorations here. And then finally, I decided to do a couple of reading spreads. I mentioned that I was toying around with the idea of having some booktube content, so I think having a page to keep track of what I'm reading will be very helpful if I decide to do this, because I can't make a favorite reads of 2022 video if I've forgotten what the heck I read in 2022, right? I left myself exactly 30 lines of space in this one, which I thought was pretty cool. 30 books is a lot for what I normally read in a year, and I honestly doubt that I'll use all of them. But it can be an unofficial goal of sorts to fill in all of these rows, just for fun. And on top of the spread, I also made one to keep a list of book recommendations that people give me, and for this one I went for 4 pages instead of 2, because my friends read far too many books, and I have more recommendations that my brain can handle at this point, so now I have a place to write them down. And that is the end of my yearly setup. I am yet to do my January spread, but after spending almost 8 hours on this one, I'll probably do a really simple messy one for January, and I won't be sharing that one with you. But I'm really excited for all the projects coming up next year. I hope that you're having a really lovely and restful end of the year, and that you're looking forward to starting 2022 strong. Let me know if you have any exciting goals for 2022, I would love to hear them. And as I said, this will be my last video for a little while, so I hope that you have a fantastic upcoming 2 months, and I will see you not so soon. Happy 2022. Bye bye.